In this lesson, we are going to start working on a contact lighting pass that was created from 3D to help emphasize the section where the robot is shooting the laser gun. Also, we're going to show another set of glows that I created in between lessons for all the other elements on the scene. It's still using the same concepts from the previous lesson, but I just want to go over them so you guys can see it. So let's start. These are as you can probably notice here, I've applied the glows to these elements and the light here. So let's look at how that was built really quick. Let's start with our environment. And I've placed the glows right above my ambient pass, where that self-illumination pass is. So basically what I did is I took my ambient pass, pre-composed it and created a new pass called glow core. In there, using an extract effect, I pulled a luma key just to keep the bright white areas of our pass and put a black background behind it so there's no alpha. Then that got nested into another pass, into another precomp where, let's press E twice so we can see expressions. Again, we're doing the same setup. Let's press U twice. We have our opacity at 75 and then our blurriness this time at 8. And all those increments are happening on each layer based on the expressions. Then let me just collapse everything. Then all of that gets a color correction applied to it, and then the actual core of our glow gets applied on top. Then that gets plussed or added over our environment. And here we have the glows. You can probably notice how much it adds to the overall scene. Now, for our robot, we did something really similar. In this case, we took two pre-comps. One is a self-illumination. Let's close this to get more space. Self-illumination pass that I was using also on the main beauty build comp. So we took that self-illumination, did the same setup with expressions to add the glow. And then finally, there's another pre-comp here called liquid glow. Let me get more space on the screen here. And in here, what we did is we used a black background, then we used the refraction pass to pull a rough key for our liquid. Then we took the reflection pass and also did a quick garbage matte along with some levels and a luma key to pull a key for our reflection. Then all of that's being used for our glow here. And then that is getting comped over on the main comp rather than doing it inside this robot build comp because there's an alpha that is cutting everything. Then also I didn't want to do it in this DOF, in this robot comp that had the light wraps in it and the foreground mats, because since they're set to add, and when this gets nested over another comp, those glows are not going to carry over the add blending mode. Unless I turn on continuously rasterize, but that could create even more problems. So for that, they're being added on the main comp. We set to add. Now you can see how we're getting these really nice glows in there. So that was the setup for the other glows, pretty similar to what we did on the previous lesson. Now this time, let's start working with our contact lighting pass. Let me open this here and let me see if I have. Oh, that is not the one. So let me just bring here really quick my contact lighting pass that I've created from 3D. It was created really easy by taking the scene. Let's pre-compose this. This is supposed to start at frame 120. Actually, let's say our first Start frame is 120. Now this was created by just adding a light and parenting that to the gun on our Alembic file. And I didn't animate the opacity on the or the intensity in the light because I'm going to do that in After Effects by simply just animating these values on the opacity. Now let's bring really quick probably our pre-renders. And let's make sure that we're on frame 120 here. So everything lines up. Same deal with this guy. Oh, our environment actually. Okay, so we have our robot here. And this is supposed to be frame 165, 180. So let's make sure we have everything lined up. And there we go. Okay. So this is our lighting path, like I said. Set it to add, you can see how it's affecting. But to use it correctly, if we've learned how to use all these RGB passes from previous lesson, it's that we need to use either a set mat or a shift channels. In this case, let's use a shift channels and use the red channel for all of them. Now we have it set to add. Now you can see how the lighting is working really nice with our environment. All we have to do now is just animate the intensity here to match the movement on the robot and also the cell animation. So for that, I believe I have a preset that I made earlier. Just to save us some time. And let me show you here how it works really quick. So when this starts shooting, it's going to increase to 15, really slow, increase to 30, and finally once that big laser comes out, it's going to increase to 65, then decrease back to 0. Then for the second laser set, we increase to 50, and then we decrease back to 0. So since we don't need these guys, these are for preview purposes. Let's do this guide layer again. Let's take our laser lighting and bring it into all of our comps. In this case, let's take it into our environment build, set it on top, make sure it starts at frame 120. And then we can see here how this is going to look. Let's actually use it in combination with our pre-render so we move fast. Now you can see how everything gets illuminated when this shoots. Really handy. And then we're going to have a problem because we have the robot showing up here. Once we do the motion blur, we're going to get a strange halo here. And also for our depth pass, we're going to have problems. So let's do a quick roto to remove this guy. Set it to subtract. And then let's just blur this a little bit. And let's take this same laser lighting setup and bring it onto our robot. Again, let's use the pre-render so we move fast. Set this frame 120, line it up, and now we don't want this to show up here, so let's just use the transparency. And there we go. We have this already set up, and if we preview here, you guys are going to notice. Let's zoom out and let's just preview these two guys so it moves fast. And also our, I'll make sure we're set to add on both comps. Add. Finally, let's add our laser glow and see how the timing works out. Now, let me also mention that why I did this in 3D rather than doing it using normals or relighting techniques. And that is because in 3D, I was able to create shadows, to use shadows to properly occlude those areas that were being lit from the direction of the laser. Something that I could not do using my regular shadow or occlusion paths. And then another thing is I was getting the correct specularity and all the other nuances from an actual light in 3D. So you guys can finally see how the contact lighting is actually really helping this scene. So this was a look at another set of blurs that we created for the other elements on the scene, and also how to composite our 3D paths for the contact lighting.